They're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on this truly wonderful Wednesday as we get a chance to continue our partnership with our Health Services Authority. This time I get a chance to talk to pharmacist and diabetes educator, Ms. Vincent Jefferson, as we talk to you about diabetes. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we invite you to be a part of our discussion this afternoon. It's always a pleasure to offer an opportunity for our public to be informed and involved, and especially when we get a chance to blend health and education. Well, so much the better. Well, pharmacist and diabetes educator, Ms. Vincent Jefferson. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
It is for me as well to welcome you to our studio, and thanks so much. The chance for us to talk, not just with our public, but sometimes ask them, sit, listen, engage, interact, so that we don't take our health for granted, that we don't ignore the little things. I'm saying that loudly so that I can be reminded, because we ignore little things, especially little things that can become big things and could affect our lives in such a remarkable, unfortunate way at times.
That's true.
But diabetes, when we talk about that, and I'm very, very grateful for this continued partnership with the Health Services Authority. I know you as an organization, have reached out across the divide to many different agencies and entities in our community to help to spread the word about becoming champions for our own health. But when we look at diabetes,
actually, there are 4 main types of diabetes, actually.
Okay.
You have type 1, which is not very common, but when it happens, it mostly affects children and young adults, where it's an autoimmune condition, where the cells that produce insulin are destroyed, and so that person does not produce any insulin at all. So they have to be on insulin for life. You have secondary diabetes. There are some medications that actually can cause diabetes as a side effect. But we're talking mostly like steroids, like prednisone. Some persons who might have lupus or a condition like that have to be on steroids to control inflammation, that they can develop diabetes as a result. You have gestational diabetes. Some women, when they become pregnant, during the pregnancy, they develop diabetes. But in most cases, after the child is born, that they become normalized and it goes away, but comes back later in life in many cases. And, type 2 is the one that affects the majority of persons. Over 90% of persons who have diabetes have type 2. And that is the one that there's a genetic component. When it's in the family, persons are at a higher risk of getting diabetes. And what happens in type 2 is that the pancreas doesn't produce enough insulin to control the blood sugar levels, or insulin is produced, but it is not effectively doing its job of removing the sugar from the bloodstream and taking it into the muscle cells and into the fat cells.
And as I listen to you, the secondary diabetes, maybe at some point we can speak to that, because that could be, as you said, medication in a notion, right? But the gestational diabetes, after the child is born, it'll go away usually, but it could repeat it. Is there any potential for the newborn, as that child develops later on, because the mother had gestational diabetes?
It's not usually transferred to the child.
No, okay.
It's never usually transferred to the child.
And so there's probably no...
But what can happen is that if women have gestational diabetes and they did not get any medication for it, the blood sugar was not controlled, sometimes these babies are really born, well overweight, 10 pounds, 11 pounds. They have big babies, But it's not something that is transferred to the baby like that.
And then
unless, that baby, when the baby becomes older, adult, then because the mother had diabetes, the risk of getting diabetes is greater. But it's greater for anybody who actually has it in their family line, mother or father. And so, especially if they, eat the wrong foods, then the risk become even that much greater when they become an adult.
You shared type 2 is genetic, in that sense. And then is there a way, whether with type 1 or type 2, that through our lifestyle, that we could do to mitigate, to control, to manage?
You mentioned the right words. Lifestyle modification is so important. Diet and exercise is very important. And I'll just even share from my personal experience, actually. My father is diabetic, was diabetic. He became diabetic at the age of in his 30s, and fortunately, he did the right things. He ate properly, he exercised, he took his medication, and so basically he lived a normal life. He didn't get the complications of diabetes, and he lived until he was 82. He was a civil servant. After he retired, got another 10-year contract with the government, and he lived a normal life because he took the precautions. Now, my mother has diabetes as well, and she didn't have it to a greater degree as my father, because eventually he had to be on insulin. So I am at a great risk of getting diabetes. And somehow it dawned on me very strongly 10 years ago when blood test results showed that I was in the pre-diabetes category. There's a blood test, the HbA1c. That is a test that tells you whether you are pre-diabetes, you are diabetic, or you're in the clear. No diabetes at all. And somehow it dawned on me with a great family history, and I being pre-diabetes, I decided to change my diet. I decided to stop drinking a lot of the juices they're loaded with sugar. I decided to stop eating white rice and start eating brown rice and more ground provision, but still reducing the amount of carb starches in my meals. I decided to stop eating as much cake and ice cream. Not that I don't eat those things, but I used to eat a lot of chocolate and I used to eat a lot of sweets.
What kind of chocolate? I guess I'll make sure, because I eat a lot of chocolate. The dark chocolate?
Oh, gosh. Well, dark chocolate is healthier than the milk chocolate.
Yeah, I don't fool with milk chocolate.
Yeah, right. And I even changed my sugar. I even stopped using brown sugar and decided to use Truvia, which is a plant-based sweetener that doesn't affect blood sugar levels. And I stayed, for the past 10 years, I've stayed in the pre-diabetes phase.
And hasn't aged at all. You still look like 10 years younger.
You're too kind.
You know, but the good doctor told me to share everything. No, but it's true. Because it does affect how you look, how you act. Your food becomes, you know, not just your fuel, but it does impact your outlook, your energy, your skin.
It does. And the thing about it is that vegetables, because foods that are high in fiber, like the vegetables, fruits, and I need to talk about fruits later.
Yes, because of the sugar, right?
Fruits, right?
Yeah.
Fruits, the vegetables, and the ground provision tend to be higher in fiber. And, you know, white rice, sweet potato, higher in fiber than white rice or white bread that doesn't have the fiber. Because what happens is the foods that are rich in fiber, it slows the digestive process. And so you don't have the spiking of the sugar. The sugar doesn't get into the bloodstream and spikes. It goes at a slower pace, as opposed to white rice, white bread, things that don't have the fiber. After the food is digested, you tend to have a spike in the blood sugar level. So persons who have diabetes or at risk of having diabetes, it is easier for them to get into the diabetic range as opposed to persons whose food is more fiber and it's also spaced out. And of course, exercise makes a big difference as well.
Right. So when we come back, I certainly would invite you to share with us. And I do appreciate sometimes for us repetition and emphasis helps us to be reminded to recall and to know exactly what to do. If others, we heard it before, we tune out. I'm asking that we pay attention because this could affect us. You shared, 50 plus years, your father, pre-diabetic or diabetic in the 30s and lived, managing it. So it can be done if we're willing to be disciplined.
Exactly.
So, and then I want to ask about, I don't know about some people, but some weeks, bread, butter, and cheese seems to appeal to someone more than ever. How do we look at it? The fruits and, of course, the sugar and addictive nature and like. But then could we ask at some point, too, about the tests and the range, recognizing that we have the trust and confidence in our physicians. But when we go there and the doctor says, she says, all is good and we're happy and we're on our way. Should we do more? Should we ask more questions? Should we try not to second guess, but to understand more so that we can have a discussion and not just say, that was good. All right. Those are some of the things that we want to get to as we talk about diabetes. Of course, the phone lines are open. Ms. Susan is not just, sitting there smiling and excited, anxious to take your calls and great. But we get a chance to discuss, World Diabetes Day as we continue our discussion when we return. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are invited to enjoy a customer appreciation and seasonal celebration with Vigoro Nursery on Agricola Drive. Join Vigoro this weekend, Sunday, November 17th from noon to 3:30 p.m. for appetizers, beer, wine, and live music on our back porch. As Vigoro would like to say thank you, save 10% on early bird Christmas shopping with Vigoro's vast selection of home accessories, truly stunning ceramics, art, and occasional furniture. Bring the kids to enjoy the playground. It's going to be a fantastic time with Vigoro on Agricola Drive. We'll see you Sunday at noon.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush.
Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard. You better work. The Cayman AIDS Foundation would like to invite you to our 3rd annual Dinner Drinks and Drag fundraiser being held at the Marriott Hotel. Doors open at 6 p.m. Welcome drinks between 6 to 7. Show starts at 7 o'clock. Please remember to book your tickets early as tickets are running out. You can purchase your tickets by going on our website, which is www.caf, that's C for cat, A for apple, F for frank.ky. It's a night not to be missed. Our headliner for this year is none other than Miss Chi-Chi Devane from Season 8 of the RuPaul Drag Race. So don't miss out on a great night of fun. Silver tickets are $150, gold tickets are $300, platinum tickets are $500. You can also purchase a single table. Please come out, enjoy yourself. It's all about a night of fun, games, laughter, and everyone enjoying themselves. You can go on our website, which is www.c for cat, A for apple, F for frank.ky to make your purchase.
I have one thing to say. You better work.
Join us for the 7th annual Pete Ribbons Memorial Ride on Sunday, November 17th. This year, you can participate in the 40 or 10K ride or a 5K run walk, followed by breakfast with fun prizes and giveaways. The whole family is welcome. All proceeds will be donated to Jasmine in honor of Pete Ribbons. Past CWC General Manager and Cayman Water will match all proceeds again this year. Don't miss this family-friendly ride and run, starting at the Abel Castillo Waterworks plant. Register at CaymanActive.com for the 7th annual Pete Ribbons Memorial Ride, November the 17th.
Did you know that the executive branch of government has sole authority and responsibility for the daily administration of the Cayman Islands? The executive authority is exercised on Her Majesty's behalf of the government, which consists of the governor and the cabinet. The cabinet consists of the Honorable Premier, 6 ministers, 2 official appointees, the Deputy Governor, and the Attorney General. The Deputy Governor and Attorney General are the only members of the cabinet that are not allowed to vote when decisions are being made by the cabinet. Brought to you by Celebrate Cayman, in celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Cayman Islands Constitution.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, Mike. Thank you for joining us, and certainly I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to continue discussion as we talk about World Diabetes Day. Pharmacist Winsome Jefferson in her capacity, diabetes educator. And it's so important because increasingly from our pharmacists and our physicians, we're hearing more and more, hey, their lifestyle choices or diet, exercise. There are a lot of little things that we know, but man, it takes a lot of motivation sometimes to go and exercise. And I don't know, give me another 4 pieces of that cake. I mean, the 4 before wasn't enough, right? Let me get 4 more. Discipline, and we may not see it. Can I then ask, as we continue, right? I know I put a lot of questions on the table for discussion, but maybe in it, we take of 2 people. One, the young child, teenage child even, or just preteen, seemingly healthy and everything. And then we think of that seemingly active, somewhat athletic individual. And those 2 individuals, we will think, well, they're okay. They're active. They're out about doing things. Any concerns specifically relating to diabetes that they should also pay attention to as they monitor other things? Or, you know what, you're exercising, you're active, go ahead and eat as much mangoes as you want and go ahead and do all the other things.
I really think that, this year's theme for World Diabetes Day is diabetes and the family. And I really believe it's a good idea to really grow up your children being health conscious to prevent a lot of the disease conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, cholesterol disease later on. And you still have a lot of healthy foods that are tasty. You still have several choices that you can make in terms of the foods that you eat. There are smoothies, there are cereals. Okay, I have several cereals. You have some cereals that are healthy and still tasty. So in everything you have choices, because at first, when I was really being conscious about, preventing getting diabetes. And, I was having oats. And then I got tired of oats. And there's a guide that I'd gotten from a nutritionist that the amount of sugars per serving is best that it is not more than 10 grams. So I was using that as a guide. And when I actually went to the supermarket and was looking for some options, I found several cereals that were high fiber and low sugar that were tasty. Some of them had in different pecans, hazelnuts, along with the granola or along with the oats, and that was very
seeds and all the good things.
Yeah, banana nut crunch, honey bunch of oats, great greens with pecans, great greens with cinnamon and hazelnut, and it's not boring, it is tasty, and you have some leaner meats, you have the turkey slices as opposed to, fat-laden, hot dogs. You have, the parent can use a multigrain flour and make muffins or even cake, because there's a flour called spelt flour or even whole wheat that you can make tasty treats, banana bread, anything. You can make pastry, but it's different choices of what you actually use.
I was wondering, Ms. Jefferson, from that perspective, and I'm not going to hopefully put you in a perspective that makes you untenable to answer, but sometimes when we're looking at recipes and instead of using, say, the whole, that plain white flour, we may substitute it for the things that you suggested. But some parents, and they're not physicians, pharmacists, diabetes educators, they're not nutritionists, dietitians, or anything else. They just say, well, what I've done of 4 cups of flour in this recipe, maybe I'll just, half a cup of white flour, and then the other 3.5, throw in different things that they've found.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Because then the children, all right, okay.
Yeah, even making dumpling or fritters, even if you have half of the white and half of the multigrain or the whole wheat, it's still a healthier meal, and it helps to prevent,
reducing some of the things.
It reduces the risk, right? So you can have even half and half. So that's a very good idea, And even with the juices, like orange juice or apple juice, it's still a better option to even have half a glass of the juice and dilute with water, But even better than that is eating the fruit and drinking the water. If parents can find creative ways of including vegetables in the meal. I was assigned to a patient in my clinic, I do a diabetes education clinic at HSA twice a week. And she was just saying that she finds it very interesting ways of including vegetables in the meal, making a fritter and grating some carrot in it, or even some meal that she's making, even she grate a chocha in it, but it is, or even doing a chicken stew and adding a few mixed vegetables, or grating a little carrot in it, and ensuring that it is well seasoned.
Something that I've done, hopefully it's, well, you tell me, I take the different vegetables. This was early on when, but even now, when sometimes there's a reluctance. Take the vegetable and grate it, shred it, sometimes puree it so that it becomes almost, and then mix it in with, make it be the base for the sauce, and then hide it within the sauce.
Right, right. That is a good idea, actually.
That'll work.
Yes.
Or I'll take and use it thinly sliced and layer it like a like a pasta.
Right.
So that it has that, that appearance, but
Yeah.
sometimes that doesn't work all the way well.
Yeah. Even doing the pita bread, and even if it had even put it in the microwave, but even putting some chicken bits on it and grating cheese, but probably putting adding a tomato to it, or just putting in.
You're making me want lunch.
Just put a few vegetables in it in a creative way, but making it tasty.
I think that's the idea, though. Recognizing that good food that is healthy can and should be tasty, and we somehow have gotten away from the love of cooking.
And I want to share something that I found very interesting. Last year Christmas, I like to bake a Christmas cake. That is one of a tradition for me. And last year I decided, instead of using pure white flour in it, that I actually added some of the spelt flour, the multigrain flour, and some breadcrumbs that was grated from brown bread, along with the white flour as well. And instead of using just brown sugar alone, I actually used some Truvia and some brown sugar as well. And believe it or not, I've never gotten so many compliments. That cake was just so good. Because the Truvia, it's a plant-based sweetener. And I mean, you have others. You have stevia, you have Truvia, you have others, monk fruit and so forth. But what one packet of the Truvia is equivalent in sweetness to 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. But it does not affect the diabetes at all. So there are choices in so many different ways in terms of persons who might actually have a sweet tooth.
Or a mouthful of them.
And you have sugar-free ice cream that Nestle does.
Well, as you shared that idea of sugar, I've heard a number of people, and even some physicians, and point to studies even, that sugar is addictive. As addictive, and sometimes more addictive than some of the controlled illegal substances that are, on the markets there.
That is true. And what the sugar does, when foods are high in sugar, you're having a whole lot of cakes and a lot of sweet drink and a lot of sweets and all of that. What it does is that it can cause inflammation in the blood vessels. So diabetes does not just affect even the eyes or the kidneys or the nerves in the body. It can affect the brain and the heart eventually, because it can cause a high concentration of sugar in the diet constantly can cause inflammation in the blood vessels. So it increases the risk as well of getting a stroke or a heart attack, even though that might be over many years. It's best if you can reduce your sugar intake, because it's not just cholesterol alone that causes inflammation and leads to the blockage, but inflammation in the blood vessels as well.
Okay. Now, as we go to the break, the tests, when we go, for instance, just looking at the blood sugar levels, there are a range, up to this and up to that. Perhaps after the break, if not, if you wish to do it now, what are those numbers? Because the physician, when you get the results, will tell you, it comes back at something, and what does that mean? So.
Okay.
All right. So after the break, perhaps?
Sure.
All right. Well, listen, we want you to be healthy. We want you to be very active and engaged. Not just during election year. I mean, we got to be engaged all the time. Please, when we come back, we'll talk more about diabetes. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
This holiday, Logic is helping you mix and match. So, whether it's reggae jingle bells or wearing plaid with Santa sweaters, anything goes. It's all about the freedom to choose, like mixing and matching your Logic services. The more you spend, the more you save. Plus, we're doubling our internet speeds, which means you're getting the island's fastest internet at up to 30% less than the competition. It's like Christmas all year round. Visit logic.ky to learn more. Terms and conditions apply.
Tossing and turning, can't sleep? It's time to turn in your old mattress and go to bed with a new one. Take advantage of the fantastic savings on mattresses at Brand Source Home Gallery. Browse the huge mattress showroom and pick the perfect mattress today at 30% off. Brand Source Home Gallery has tons of new inventory from Sealy, Posturepedic, Carrington Chase, and Tempur-Pedic. With mattresses in every size to suit every budget, now's the time to save 30% and sleep better tonight. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Sale ends November 16th. Call 623-5000 for more information.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
You are invited to enjoy a customer appreciation and seasonal celebration with Vigoro Nursery on Agricola Drive. Join Vigoro this weekend, Sunday, November 17th from noon to 3:30 p.m. for appetizers, beer, wine, and live music on our back porch. As Vigoro would like to say thank you, save 10% on early bird Christmas shopping with Vigoro's vast selection of home accessories, truly stunning ceramics, art, and occasional furniture. Bring the kids to enjoy the playground. It's going to be a fantastic time with Vigoro on Agricola Drive. We'll see you Sunday at noon.
Run off the extra helping of turkey dinner and give back in a big way this Thanksgiving. Register now for the Meals on Wheels Turkey Trot 5K and 10K Fun Walk Run on Saturday, November 30th at the Holiday Inn Resort in Safe Haven. Registration is only $25 and there are lots of spot prizes to be won and complimentary omelet station. Help Meals on Wheels fight senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Visit mealsonwheels.ky or register at caymanactive.com. See you there.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. And as we join the Health Services Authority and celebrating World Diabetes Day tomorrow, diabetes educator, pharmacist Winsome Jefferson joins us, and to know that there are things we can do, to see that, for half a century plus, as you shared the example with your father, we can live healthy, active lifestyle, controlling and managing if we're active, if we're conscious about our decisions and our choices. True. So it's encouraging. I know there are people who perhaps don't recognize how not debilitating only, but how destructive it can be to the individual and to the families. So if we can do something now, maybe it'll help us later on, right?
Yes, definitely.
Ah, boy, challenges.
Yeah. The thing about it is that diabetes, uncontrolled diabetes over a period of time, which is usually some years, probably 4 or 5 years, can lead to blindness. It can lead to kidney failure. It can lead to nerve problems. Some people develop a sharp pain in the feet or even tingling. And some persons end up with amputations because they have the nerve damage in the feet and there is no sensation. And persons can end up with a heart failure, heart attack, and stroke. And the thing about it is that these things are preventable if you take certain steps. If you make a conscious decision to really start, eating properly and start exercise, even in small stages. And as I mentioned, I really go back to my father. Because I was just so amazed that in the family, I was so amazed that he had diabetes for over 40 years. and his eyesight was not affected at all by the diabetes. His kidney function was not affected at all by the diabetes, and neither the nerves in his body, and he did not develop a stroke or heart failure. And it's because at the onset, he made a conscious decision, to start eat more vegetables and cut back on the carbs and, reduce stop having a lot of those drinks that are high in sugar. And one of the things that he did that was really so impressive as well, we had moved to live 35 miles away from, he was a civil servant working in Kingston, and he would drive 35 miles to come home in the evening, and after dinner, religiously every single evening, about 1 hour after he had dinner, he would jog on the spot. That was his exercise, and he would say that, he's jogging to Spanish Town. He was trying to make some fun out of it. It was a creative, we didn't have a treadmill, but I mean, and the bottom line is that he lived a normal life, meaning a good quality life. Mm-hmm. And anybody who has diabetes now can live a good quality life based on the choices that are made. Because he would still even go to church once a week and do Bible study. He was an elder in the church for 20 years. Mm-hmm. So what the choices that you make have a big difference between ending up with an amputation or kidney failure or, neuropathy.
And something that, and I do recognize that this is, an emotional issue for many of us. And I'm grateful that we've had over the years diabetics who come in and who've said, I was unaware, I didn't realize, I ignored the symptoms. And they've shared publicly and sometimes, privately with small groups, whether at church and other places. They say, listen, you don't want to be here. It affects your quality of life. It affects your travel if you have to go on dialysis. And so I think if I have heard anything, what they've shared is try not to put yourself in a position that this is you, and try to do everything you can to avoid it. Look at the symptoms and do ignore it.
And I'm glad you mentioned symptoms as well. One of the things that I've discovered when I'm doing my diabetes education clinic, some patients who have been newly diagnosed, they were urinating frequently and drinking a lot of water and they thought the reason why they were urinating so frequently is because they were drinking the water, but they were not aware that the body was really trying to say, there's just too much sugar in the blood, I need to expel the sugar. And so the frequent urination was a way of the body trying to flush out the sugar through the urine, and because urine is accompanied by water, then the body would become very dehydrated, and so that person would develop extreme thirst, and then they will start drinking additional water. So one of the I suggest that if you find that you are urinating quite frequently, I think it's best that you actually go and check it out. Go to the doctor, and just find out if that is the condition, that's what's going on.
And the tests are fairly simple. I mean, whether you do the A1C or whether you do the fasting,
right?
You can get
right. There are different blood tests that can show whether you are either diabetic or pre-diabetic, or that's not the source of your frequent urination.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a blood test known as the A1C, HbA1c, and that blood test, persons whose reading is less than 5.7%, there's no diabetes at all. But there's a range of the pre-diabetes between 5.7 and 6.4%, and persons whose A1C is greater than 6.5%. they are in the diabetic range. But I have found in dealing with persons over the years that some persons, after they made a conscious decision to change their lifestyle in terms of the foods that they ate and their exercise, that their A1C actually went below the 6.5%.
With lifestyle changes.
With the lifestyle changes. I cannot stress. There are little things that you can do even to start out, because sometimes changing from becoming a couch potato
so much is a bag
to become more active. You can do it in stages.
Yeah.
Try and park the car a little further from, the supermarket or wherever you park at work, so you can walk a little further. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Start, even walking 15 minutes for the day, and then you can probably increase it. Get involved in some sports.
So incremental changes.
Yeah.
You didn't get this way, overnight.
Right.
Don't try to reverse it overnight.
So just take it in stages. Or if you can go to the beach and swim, or do some, walking in the water. That is not impacting on your joints.
Now, tomorrow, as we celebrate World Diabetes Day, anything in particular at the HSC? I know, if I may ask you to remind us again, you do 2 diabetic clinics a week at HSC. So share with us. I mean, how do we access them? When are they? Anything happening tomorrow in particular in observance of World Diabetes Day?
Okay. In World Diabetes Day, we will be having blood sugar and cholesterol testing in the atrium. And the nutritionists will be doing the BMI, body mass index, and doing counseling on healthy eating. The Lions Club, they'll be doing eye screening for glaucoma. We're having a 2 gift baskets of groceries and goodies. Not boring food. Healthy, but not boring food. So we'll be having a raffle. We'll be giving away those baskets. So we're imploring the public to come on out and get tested. Just come tested whether, you might not be diabetic, but it's good to know. And you have a chance of winning a basket. The Diabetes Education Clinic is... It's done at the HSA to the GP clinic on Tuesday afternoons from 2 to 5. Tuesday and Thursday afternoon 2 to 5, and it's by appointment.
Okay. And then tomorrow, so this, as we celebrate in the atrium, just come.
It's at the atrium. Just come and get tested.
All right. Well, the number of opportunities that HSA has presented on an annual basis for the public to, become not only more informed about their health, but to do something. Because sometimes we can talk, but to do something. So tomorrow, just come, get your blood test, get a chance to speak to the dietitians. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we can do to give us education and information and help us to take action.
We'll have information, and I also will be doing diabetes counseling as well. So persons who are in the pre-diabetes or they're actually diabetic, I'll be doing some counseling and, one-on-one and persons who have found out that they're diabetic, we'll refer them to the doctors as well.
Ms. Benson, thank you very much. And anytime that we can, help our public to take more ownership relative to our health, we're happy to have that partnership.
Okay, thank you so much for
Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much.
And
same to you.
Tomorrow, I trust that the public, as we go about, we make some time and come down and at least get a little more information on diabetes.
From 8 o'clock to 2 p.m.
8 till 2.
And we'll be doing the raffle draw at 2 p.m. as well.
All right, we send Susan over to draw the ticket. All right, let's pause and take a break. And when we come back, more Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have here on Island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news. Access to information.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
A murder investigation has been launched by detectives of the RCIPS into the death of the 24-year-old man from West Bay who was found unresponsive after suffering several gunshot wounds in a shooting incident in the area of Miss Daisy Lane, West Bay on Tuesday. The incident occurred during the evening between 5 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. Police say the paramedics who attended the scene began CPR on the man who displayed no signs of life when they arrived. Their efforts to revive the man proved futile and he was later pronounced dead at the scene. Now, the area was dimly lit with natural light and detectives believe that there may have been persons in and around the area at the time that the shooting occurred with information that could assist the investigation. Anyone with information regarding the incident is encouraged to call Detective Inspector Collins or Emule at 936-8646 or the confidential tip line at 949-7777. Cayman Crime Stoppers is also facilitating a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of any person or individuals responsible for the commission of this murder. In news elsewhere, cross-border violence between Israel and militants in Gaza is continuing a day after an Israeli airstrike killed a Palestinian Islamic Jihad commander. After an overnight lull, rocket fire towards Israel resumed and Israeli aircraft conducted retaliatory strikes. Gaza's health ministry said 14 Palestinians had been killed by Israeli fire on Wednesday, bringing the death toll there to 24 since Tuesday. In Israel, some 50 people have been treated for injuries or anxiety. The worst flooding in Venice in more than 50 years prompted calls Wednesday to better protect the historic city from rising sea levels as officials calculated hundreds of millions of euros in damage. The water reached 1.87 meters above sea level Tuesday, the second highest level ever recorded in the city and just 7 centimeters lower than the historic 1966 flood. Another wave of exceptionally high water followed Wednesday. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Ambitious, determined, beautiful, and unapologetically uncompromising. You have set the bar high. Now let High Fashion and Design Studio take you to the next level. Full service hair and nail salon carrying the top designer brands. Calvin Klein, 9 West. Shoes, clothing, accessories, quality dressmaking, tailoring, and custom design. High Fashion and Design Studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue, across from Bananas Restaurant. Call 945-4415 to book your high fashion and design experience today. Be bold, be true, be you.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And it truly is a wonderful opportunity to continue to highlight the great things that happen in the community. And very shortly, chance to focus on agriculture. But now, honored with our good friends from the RCIPS to join us. PC Jordan Pori. I don't think you're in the studio often enough, so good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. No, it's definitely been a while since I've been on your show.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking just a few minutes. I know you, like all your colleagues, are extremely busy.
Yes.
But there are important things that affect our entire country, and so why not inform us?
Well, yes. Unexpectedly, Deputy Commissioner Walton had gone over to Kimmerbrook yesterday. He's going over to inspect the stations, to meet with the staff, and to see how policing activity is doing over in Kimmerbrook and Little Cayman. And tonight he is hosting a community meeting at the Ashton Rutty Civic Center in Kimmerbrook at the medical wing. That'll take place at 6 p.m. tonight. And so I just wanted to make sure that I covered all the bases and made all the announcements so that everybody has an opportunity to attend tonight.
So tonight, see, on Grand Cayman, we make sure that equally on the Brack as well.
Yes,
all right.
Absolutely.
As you I know you're busy, but as you go, is there anything that you ask in the public to just show up? Do they bring some cassava cake? I mean, they just come.
There will be some light refreshments at the event itself. You just bring yourself and your questions that you have. I know that this year so far, Kimmerbrook has suffered 11 burglaries and a few other major incidents, such as the fatal accident that happened earlier this year. And so I know there are quite a few questions that people have for the police over there. So just bring yourself and your questions, and he'll be able to answer those questions for you.
And I say this, hopefully that we still recognize it. This can be managed and controlled. And there are people in other jurisdictions who say 11, and they have more than that in 5 minutes.
Yes.
But this is Cayman. We don't want that.
And that is Kimmerbrook as well.
Yeah,
so it's very, very
11
small,
too many.
knitted community, and 11 is too much, yes.
Right. Well, thanks very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Anytime that you need a minute or you need, a minute and 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You just tell us, all right?
Thank you. And thank you guys for letting me encroach on your time as well.
No, man. We're partners in this together, man. We're all working together. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you.
And for our Kimmerbrook family and friends, remember this evening. So don't come out Ashton Rutty Center.
Ashton Rutty Civic Center, the medical wing.
The medical.
Yes. 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Thanks very much. All right, Miss Susan, why don't we just quickly maybe take an early break, pause and take a break when we come back. Hey, let's talk agriculture. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Parents and students are invited to attend the 2019 Boarding School Fair on Sunday, November 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Grand Cayman Marriott Resort. Speak with over 35 representatives from various junior and college prep boarding schools for grades 6 to 9 from across the United States and Canada. Learn firsthand about the advantages of attending these prestigious educational institutions, including academics, curriculum, extracurricular activities, sports and cultural programs, application process, SSAT requirements, and financial aid. For more information, contact Neil Murray at 925-8793 or email l-murray@candw.ky. The 2019 North American Boarding School Fair, building friendships, building relationships, and building experiences. Sunday, November 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Grand Cayman Marriott Resort.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels, and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air dried before opening. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Boy, it's that time again.
Wait, ain't you talking about Christmas come already?
No fooling, it's rundown time again.
Rundown again? Boy, last year I was popping up in that theater. Best believe I going.
Not without me.
Well, what we waiting on?
Rundown, the hilarious annual comedy review, starting Thursday, November 14th at 8 p.m. at the Harkwell Theater. Tickets on sale now. Visit archcayman.org or call 949-5477 for more information. Sponsored by Logic, Island Heritage, Big Fish, and Hurley's Media.
You don't want to miss the King Sports Center Customer Appreciation Day this Saturday, November 16. A one-time only sale, including free gym usage, free group fitness classes, free tag team fitness class, free personal training, $100 off annual squash special, and the first 25 people to register receive their annual gym membership for only $249. The King Sports Center Customer Appreciation Day this Saturday, November 16.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us as we invite you to be part of the discussion. We have the opportunity to speak with the president of the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society, Mr. George Smith. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you doing?
All right. You know, Mr. Nash, I was just wondering if I should be mischievous and say, elevate your title. Mr. Tamar Nash, but I won't do that to you today.
Please don't.
Being a senior poll analyst in itself is enough taxing and daunting at times, no? But good afternoon to you.
Pleasant afternoon, Dwayne.
And Lulu, when we look at the idea of sort of ranching and cattle farming and the like in Cayman, and some of us would think back not just to when we were playing, up in the grass peas, when we were looking at, in some cases, our fathers, uncles, even ourselves and other neighbors with one or two cows. Some even had a horse, I can think of.
Yeah.
Of one. But that's something that many probably, unless they think of Hawaii's rich history, they don't think of island cowboys. I mean, barefoot man might disagree when he thinks his good friend Andaman, but that's a different idea, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of cattle farming in Cayman and the wonderful work that the Agriculture Department together with the Ministry and Agriculture Society is doing in order to improve. Share with us. Give us a perspective.
Well, I mean, Dwayne, this is long before our time, I would say, when the seamen, I would go back to say, when they went to sea, obviously the persons that stayed on island, what they done to survive, in the interim, and I'm sure that farming was the big thing. So, I guess it's sort of like how we are celebrating Pirates Week. This week is, I think we celebrate farming all year long. So, I would definitely say that farming has been a part of Cayman's history.
Well,
from time they say that the island that time forgot. So for sure,
have you forgotten it?
Yeah.
But you look at the arable land, Mr. Nash, that we have here. We look at development in and of itself and the competing sort of interests. It's no different here than in some other areas that are now very urban, but in their history, perhaps the difference is there may be 100, 200 years ago. For us, it may be 50 or 100 years ago.
Yep.
But it's still the same sort of progression in terms of population. As you draw near to the mic, my friend, impart your wisdom with us.
Well, I've had the privilege to travel around the Grand Cayman and observe cattle farming. I must say without any bias that I've not seen more beautiful animals anywhere. I said it to George and Anna for a previous conversation. Whether we're talking about good breeding stock or just quality of the animals, speaking in respect to conformation, the animals are beautiful. And what surprises me is that the environmental conditions are not as other places in other jurisdictions, but the farmers make their best with supplying supplementary feed and find creative ways in ensuring that the animals are comparative, to anywhere in the world.
If I may ask, then, and only, I guess, from one perspective, just an observation, we see today the commercial farmer, if I could use that, today the hobby enthusiast almost. I think of one or two who may have had 2 or 3, maybe a small number of cattle, and even some of the women farmers have it in a smaller pasture, but diligently, almost hour by hour, checking on this thing. In a few years' time, this is being reared for Christmas, consumption. and then the farmer today who has more, who's investing. There's a love for it.
Definitely. I mean, I would say farming is no different from anything else. We got a concept in the farming community that if you don't really enjoy it, you're definitely not going to do it. And then if you don't really enjoy what you're doing, it becomes sort of a burden. Even though it's hard work, hot sun, lots of bush, but it's not. It doesn't come across as a burden. It's something that we enjoy. So if you put love into anything, it's just like when your mommy cooks or something. The difference between love in that pot versus something that you just picked up out of a restaurant somewhere.
Just
right?
throw it in the bowl. No,
exactly.
It's true.
Right. So that's the same concept in the farming community.
But then to Mr. Nash's perspective, something that I think maybe those of us who don't really know or have paid attention probably took for granted. You see the different types of cattle. Now, if I use a different or incorrect terminology, you guide me, but you just taking a drive one day and you see over here, oh, that cow or bull, I call them all cows, but I think there's a difference.
Yeah.
And looks different from this one to different. And as you get older, become more knowledgeable, I see that reflecting on conversations with Mr. Paul, and he talk about this brand versus that one versus the next one. I'm thinking, wow, we have a strong variety of different cattle on our island.
Absolutely. I mean, as Mr. Nash pointed out, I think almost not every breed, because of our climate conditions, right? So most of the time you'll find a smoother type animal. But, definitely what has happened in the years is that through trial and error, they have figured out what works best in Cayman for Cayman. Because, when you sit down and you talk about the Angus, for example, that has been probably one of the most promoted beefs in the world, but the full Angus cannot handle our climate all year long. Maybe now in the winter time, yes, but not in the summertime. They have a hard time because of their coat, right? They're a little hairier. But over here we have, the Senepol, Simmental, Charolais, Pinswire, Santa Gertrudis, you name them, and we have it here. And what you would see a lot is that, some farmers like certain breeds, just like, some people like Toyota versus Hondas. But
I think you go myself, but
so that's the whole thing. It just depends on that farmer's liking. But as Mr. Nash pointed out, there's definitely a huge selection of different breeds on the island.
Well, I want to ask, as you have shared with us, so that we know as a public, the cattle sale and sort of the second shipment, as it were. But from that comment earlier, Mr. Nash, the second, the supplementary feed to the cattle. Some of us may think back to the old cowboy shows and the cattle rancher and the farm hand and what have you, and thousands of acres of just wilderness almost. Here, they're probably a little bit small grass piece, some rocks. You would think, why? The resolve, the resilience of the people to continue at this speaks to the ethos. But that supplemental feed, how important is that? And when the bales are here, or is it the seaweed?
Well, it depends on the type of operation you're running. In Cayman, where not all the operations are that large, farmers will find creative ways. But for those that are running large operations, you'll want to buy your concentrate that the DOA supplies, Department of Agriculture, which will supply a minimum, say, 18% crude protein, and then the others will be fiber, etc., which will sustain the animal. But why we say supplemental, it's addition to what they'll get from eating grass, and not all the farmers have access to large lots of land where have established pastures, etc. And if you practice pasture rotation all the while, because of the small spaces, you'll deplete the grass resources, so you'll need to find some supplemental feed to boost that. I've seen where farmers here use banana, pseudo stems, feed them. I've seen other persons cut grass and feed them. All of these are supplemental, but the concentrate provide a more balanced ration for the animal.
If I may, and not to get into it, for two reasons. One, I don't think that I'm equipped at this stage. I haven't done sufficient reading, but partly because I don't want to take us away. But we look at reduce and reuse, and we look at food waste, and a practice that our farmers, I think, I've just observed, that food item, like you shared, that ordinarily could end up as a waste, when useful, they would use it to feed the cows, and it wasn't a waste, it was something that was healthy and nutritious. And we saw it in the meat. We saw the farmers who seemed to be very attentive. Lula, I think you probably can look at just within our own little district, some of the behaviors of yourselves and others, where the foods were amazing and they were deliberate to make sure that the cow got this particular supplement.
Yeah, they basically, it's like, as I said the last time we were on the show, that in a few years' time we would be able to compete with, we would be able to brag and say that we have the best beef in the region. And I meant that, and some of the times when you listen, as you pointed out, when you and if you go and visit and you spend a little time with the farmers, you'll see them giving the cows the peelings from out of the kitchen, and boy, for some reason, that is like that seasoned the beef for Christmas, without any season, right? So, so that is the little things that that they know what to do, because it has been a tradition that from way back when.
All right, so this is anecdotal, and as we talk about cattle farming in particular, I reached out to a guy who, I don't know if you would necessarily call him a budding farmer or a beef connoisseur or just a gastronome or the like, but he was telling me, and I probably forgot most of the conversation that we had, even in short order, with just a little while ago. But he was saying the Kobe beef, if I recall correctly, how the real Kobe beef in Japan, how they massage and talk to the cows and pamper them and sing to them and do all sorts of things. And when you were to go, say, to North America, the US in particular, and buy what you think is Kobe beef, it probably isn't always, what you think you're getting. But it's, again, going just by what he says. So I have to be careful that there's no testimony. But he said if you touch it too hard, it'll bruise, right? And I said to him, and before I could even finish, he said, yeah, there are one or two, and he needs local farmers here who do something very similar with their cattle. The way they feed, the way they, my words, they pamper. And it comes back to that beef that is so tender.
Yeah, and not only that, we want to definitely thank the ministry and the Honourable Premier and their government for supporting. We just had the venture of importing cows or cattle, and that is part of the strategy as to introduce better genetics into our herds. And we went and we right now we have purchased, the first shipment was 30 head. The second shipment has arrived, which is another 30, and all of them are pregnant, has been impregnated with the Wagyu, the black Japanese Wagyu, and that in itself should definitely yield better beef at the end of the day. So back to what you were talking about with the Kobe beef, I'm gonna make an analogy such as if someone walked up a mountain every day, he's gonna probably be more muscular than the person that didn't. All right, so and it's the same thing as the in Japan, they're pampered, and they doesn't allow them to walk around as much as a regular cow per se. So that's why that's in addition to the beef already being tender, that's sort of a supplement to them, by not making them gain too much muscle. All right, so when you look at some animals, it depends on the breed. Some animals has huge muscles, right? So obviously, if you look at him and he has huge muscles, he cannot be as tender as the one that didn't have no muscles, right? So that's the thing. And then also when you when you getting ready to slaughter, basically how the animal is handled also. So temperament is a big thing, because if you have an animal that has a strong temperament, prior to him being slaughtered, if is upset and going on, he will definitely be a little bit tougher than the regular guy that just basically walked into the abattoir and they did what they had to do.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, that the whole process is, that if you don't get this to experience it, appreciate it, and realize what transpires, it's farming, whether you get in the herbs and vegetables or whether you're looking at it from the perspective of cattle. Now, for the second shipment, what is it that is it only available to established farmers? How does it work?
No, basically I can say this, the ministry and the government insisted that it cannot just be just for the farmers. It has to be for anyone that wants to get into farming, because that's the concept, basically, to encourage more persons to get involved. So you doesn't have to be a registered farmer to purchase any, but just there's criteria that has to be met, such as there's a contract that these animals cannot be slaughtered within 5 years. So that's the females that is impregnated right now. Right? But we are also bringing in bulls and steers that can be slaughtered. So there's no limitations on the bulls and steers. But the females, yes, they cannot be slaughtered in 5 years. So because the importation is unsustainable as it is, because it is a whole process.
Yeah.
Believe me. So you got to do tests in the U.S. and moving the animal costs you $3.50 per mile. So from the quarantine to the port.
Get them on the ark too is a lot of work.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing about it. But I definitely I can't say it enough. Because I know the farmers really appreciate what the government has done. And we understand that the pie is so size. And quite a number of other organizations is there with their handout asking also. But I want to thank them again for seeing the vision as to putting agriculture forward in a meaningful way.
All right. Well,
just to give support to George, that we really want the farmers to support this initiative in keeping the animals for 5 years. It's very important, at least breed that animal at least 3 times, because this is going to go towards sustainability. As he said, importation of cattle, it's not sustainable. And so this contract will tie the farmer to a 5-year period, which we believe will reap great benefit for the Cayman Islands.
All right. Now, when we come back from the break, can we talk more about it? Saturday, what it'll look like if they want. Share with us some more, and hopefully encourage more of us who want to get into cattle farming and the like.
Sure.
All right. Now, pause and take a short break. If you have a comment or a question, you want to talk about agriculture, farming, cattle farming in particular, well, the phone lines are available to you. 1-800-534-8255. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Back by popular demand for November only. It's your sale, your choice at Vamp Motors. Vamp is making it easier than ever for you to drive home a real deal, where you can choose how much you'll save on your new vehicle and whether you want to get cash back or add-on upgrades to it. Save big on the new Ford Explorer, F-150, Edge, EcoSport, and Focus with up to $5,000 off select vehicles during our November sale. Get huge savings on the Toyota RAV4, Rush, and Fortuner as well. Best of all, you decide if you'll take the full discount, get cash back, or upgrade your new ride. It's your sale, your choice, but only during November. So come by Vamp Motors on Walker's Road, where your new SUV or truck is waiting for you to drive home.
You are invited to enjoy a customer appreciation and seasonal celebration with Vigoro Nursery on Agricola Drive. Join Vigoro this weekend, Sunday, November 17th from noon to 3:30 p.m. for appetizers, beer, wine, and live music on our back porch. As Vigoro would like to say thank you, save 10% on early bird Christmas shopping with Vigoro's vast selection of home accessories, truly stunning ceramics, art, and occasional furniture. Bring the kids to enjoy the playground. It's going to be a fantastic time with Vigoro on Agricola Drive. We'll see you Sunday at noon.
The Cayman Islands Seafarers Association wishes to inform all members that there will be a general meeting on Tuesday, November 19th at 7:30 p.m. in the Seafarers Hall located on Victory Avenue in Prospect. Members of the Verdant Isle Group will attend the meeting and give highlights of the planned cruise ship dock. Transportation will be provided as usual with 3 buses leaving from West Bay Town Hall at 6 p.m. The Barnes bus route in Georgetown leaves the public library area at 6:45, stopping at the Cayman Compass building and the airport Fosters. The bus marked Bobo $1 public transport and is blue in color will do pickups from British Caymanian and Uncle Bill's store on Eastern Avenue via Walker's Road, Shedden Road, and Crew Road. The East End bus pickups are the primary school parking lot, the gas station, and wreck of the 10 sales starting at 5:45. North side pickups are at Chisholm Store and the soccer field starting at 6:15. The Bodden Town pickups are at Lorna's gas station at 6:45, followed by Savannah pickups at the gas station next to Wendy's at 7 o'clock. Remember, seafarers, the next general meeting is Tuesday, November 19th, 7:30 p.m. at the Hall.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Did you know the cruise berthing facility will not cause flooding in Georgetown? In fact, wave walls will be built in addition to the piers, and marine engineers say that this could reduce the force of incoming waves. Learn more and spread the word.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Want to join us as we talk about agriculture. President of the Agriculture Society, George Smith. Senior policy analyst, right?
Senior policy advisor.
Senior policy and advisor. No, I won't go any further than that. Mr. DeMoy, when you go back to your, colleagues in the ministry, tell them, say, boy, that boy from West Bay, he just sometimes has so much fun. We should employ him over here. Give him something to do.
I will sure convey his sentiments.
No, man. I keep telling people that the notion of education and health are your pillars. And when you look at food security, in and of itself embodies education and health. It puts in positions people that, whether it's the backyard gardener who supplements the table, complements the economic purse, but it's the avid cattle farmer who is maybe just supporting a particular product. Beef, for instance. Maybe it's pork, maybe it's specifically goat or chickens or the like if they're in poultry. And you don't realize how important that is to the notion of sustaining a society, but securing its borders in a sense. Something was to happen, where would the food come from?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things, too, Dwayne, is that we always talk about it in the farming community, whereas, you don't have to buy a new pair of shoes or a new pants, but try not eating for a day or two, right? And that's our thing is we understand clearly that we cannot probably become 100% self-sustainable here, but we can do a lot better than we are doing, and that's the thing, as if the more that you support the local farmers is obviously the more that they will produce. So at any given day, there will be more food available on the island, not waiting for the plane or the boat to come in. So that's the goal of at the CIS, to push it, and I'm sure that that's the same goal that the ministry has. That's why we're getting the support. So I would say, to continue asking the public to continue to support the local farmers, because by supporting them, as I said, at any given day would be more food available on island.
I was just having an exchange with one of our listeners, and I think one of the beautiful things of this is that sometimes you can just look at the message. You don't get caught up in who's sending it. In this instance, I don't know. It's just a number. I do apologize to the person if I should know, but it's not recorded in my system, so I don't know. But I like that because there's a sense of objectivity. And I asked, can I relay some of this sentiment? And he was focusing specifically on this importance of agriculture in our society and sharing that, as a people, now I'm paraphrasing, I don't want to read it the way it is in case somebody says, oh, that's George, or that's Mike, or that's Peter. Because we forget, to look at the context of what's being shared because we're only interested in who's making the comment. But he's sharing, so it is a guy, he's sharing. And he said, if you're wondering how he knows, he said, well, as a man, so I presume it's a man. Okay. He says he enjoys farming, but he had an encounter, with some in his neighborhood where, he shared. He says he's not interested in that he should have cows and cattle and pigs and goats in his backyard unless he has, the area. But he had two challenges. One, he was living in a large area. It got developed, and what he was doing prior became untenable because now he's farming in a residential area. Okay, so he's not doing that. He moves to another area, but I don't have chickens and goats and cows, but I have, good farming opportunities because the yard is nice. Instead of putting an ornamental tree, I have vegetables, I have fruit trees. But it's complete from neighbors. Oh, you operating like a commercial farm. Yeah, he takes his stuff to the farmer's market, gives it to people to sell. Sometimes, he'll sell it. People will come and buy stuff. His question is, what's wrong with that? Be more interested in creating gated communities than sustainable farming society?
But I mean, I can speak on, from that point of view as to, I think sometimes we forget that we live on an island, and a very small one at that.
Especially if you're driving up the road, you can't see the sea. Sorry.
No, and anybody that really takes some time out and sit back and look around the Cayman Islands and tell me that is not a blessing as to the lifestyle we're living here, right? I mean, I'm not down in any other island or anything, or no other country, but no one can sit down and really honestly tell me that we are supposed to be living the standard of living that we are here. But I think that, we must never forget that we are an island. So if your neighbor is planting something to eat, right? It'll go right back to back in the day where if you had potatoes, the neighbor had breadfruits, you definitely knew that we would have swapped and shared, right? So it's becoming that time of year again, and Christmas is here. Whereas, we try to, probably invite somebody that is a little less fortunate and share a meal with. But at the same time, that person that is farming, maybe he's farming tomatoes and probably peppers. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think you should encourage that type of thing, because if more people did it, at the end of the day, as we said, there would be more food available at any given day on island.
And his last comment was the idea that it's healthier, not just healthy for those who consume it, but healthy for the planet. His peppers, for instance, from there to the supermarket is only a short distance, as opposed to the peppers, his example, that may come from wherever, right?
Yeah.
But we see that interest in the farming. The Honourable Premier, Honourable Agriculture Minister, many of our other business and community leaders, as well as our politicians, into farming.
Yep.
Now, there are some of us like me who probably should get into it, but I'll enjoy it and live right here, so through you guys.
Well, just to add my bit to the discussion, as a ministry, we want to encourage, or we're encouraging backyard gardening. Because when you speak of the matter of food security, with availability of food, is something that there can't be just the dependency on importation, because once there are external shocks, then you can't really manage those. So you want to have at least, a source of good food locally. But of course we have to understand that if someone is producing in a manner that is going to produce, offensive odor that's going to affect the neighborhood. If you're doing like poultry, etc., that might be an issue. So we still don't want to downplay real concerns of neighbors.
Right.
But there are ways in which backyard garden can be practiced, which is friendly. And that's one of the things that as a ministry we seek to incorporate, to have more sustainable practices and technology being introduced into agriculture that we believe will increase yield and will affect food security and nutrition, positively. So things like, just having a simple shade house, in your backyard, simple, practicing sustainable, like composting, etc. If you're doing a poultry house in your backyard, like many of what I've seen here, is a matter of managing your litter and the ammonia built up out of the, so as respect for your neighbor.
Yeah.
You understand me? Managing that sort of stuff. So both can coexist is how it's practiced.
As I listen to you too, and I think this is what encouraging through these public discussions, and the not just the presence of the Agricultural Society, but the robustness of its programs and partnerships. But take the public nuisance and the orders. Yes, we need to be respectful of our neighbors, but how many of us are mindful that Sunday night, Monday's a holiday, nobody's at work, presumably, but they having a party at 12:01. That is not a public nuisance.
Exactly.
They're out perhaps a Saturday morning or Sunday morning or Friday afternoon washing the car, gardening, but blaring music, not just loud but offensive. Yep. Is that not a public nuisance? Yeah. Just like the fellow who may have a dog or some other, pet that is becoming a nuisance, barking, coming into your yard and defecating or digging up your roses or what have you. So living in respect with one another. But I just went back to the fellow's comments. He's saying, it seems like for some neighborhoods, the ornamental aspect of the yard, the garden, is much more enticing and encouraged than having, some. He put, was it aubergine? Is that eggplant? Yeah. And how you say it? Well, I interpret it as eggplant and squash and tomatoes and potatoes and what have you. I mean, I don't know.
The reality doing is that this part of the world, this hemisphere, Latin America and the Caribbean, is one of the most urbanized areas in the world. It's not getting better. It's pushing across to 70% of the population moving into urban spaces. Urban agriculture, urban forestry will become the new norm. And small island development states, as George was saying, there's just so much lands and no more. So it's not like we can't create lands. So people will have to buy into the idea that in these urban spaces, you will share it with agriculture, being present, and is to see the benefits of feeding yourself, seeing the benefit of getting safe food. You can say, I know this come from down George, the origin of the food. It's nutritious, it's done. There's no, it's not genetically modified. The risk of getting any health, complications from it is minimal or none. So we have got to, make disciples. That's the mantra, to let people buy into the concept that urbanized agriculture is the future.
Yeah, the urban gardener, the urban farmer. I saw a pictorial again recently in different parts of Europe where my impression, little small swaths of land, little grow boxes, window ledges outside and rooftops where they're gardening. Then I saw pictures within the US in particular for the roofs of sometimes abandoned buildings to be used for strawberries and other fruits, vegetables and the like. And of course that reduces the greenhouse gases, the heat island effect because of the green on the spaces, but also controls rainwater runoff. Yep. That affects. So it is a collective run-on effect. I sometimes wonder as a people and as policy, how much of that are we looking at down the road? It's manageable now. At 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 population, would it be too late? 11 accidents in Cameron, some was going 11, but we can remember when there were none.
None, exactly.
And same when Grand came on. All right, a quick break to take. When we come back, we'll invite you to share with us some more. My comments aren't meant to be just political. Hopefully it'll be cause us to be a little bit more pensive and look at our actions and impact on our society so that we guide some of that policy. Fair enough? All right. Let's have a short break, see if Miss Susan has any dark chocolate to share. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
Brit K protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit britk.ky or call 949-8699.
Brit K, where people come first.
Ambitious, determined, beautiful, and unapologetically uncompromising. You have set the bar high. Now let High Fashion and Design Studio take you to the next level. Full service hair and nail salon carrying the top designer brands. Calvin Klein, 9 West. Shoes, clothing, accessories, quality dressmaking, tailoring, and custom design. High Fashion and Design Studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue, across from Bananas Restaurant. Call 945-4415 to book your high fashion and design experience today. Be bold, be true, be you.
Celebrate the 2019 Pirates Week Festivals, November 7th to 11th, with fantasy, history, and fun. Then parlay with the Pirates at the District Heritage Days, November 12th to 16th. Set the course to East End on November 12th, West Bay November 13th, Bodden Town November 15th, and throw anchor in Georgetown on November 16th. Bring the whole family and support your district. All Heritage Days open at 11 a.m. and it's free admission. For a full list of events, check out piratesweekfestival.com. See you there. Sponsored by Department of Tourism, Ministry of Culture and Tourism Attraction Board.
Also proudly sponsored by Radio Cayman.
Support our port, support our tourism.
The cruise berthing facility will be paid for using cruise passengers' fees and not by funding from the government. Passenger fees currently paid to the Port Authority and Environmental Protection Fund will remain unchanged. This is a win for Cayman. Support our port, support our tourism.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars. Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for sharing your afternoon with us. And as we have this discussion about agriculture, food security, the health and wealth of the nation in the sense of being able to draw not just on times when there may be bad weather, it may be shortage of shipment because of demand from other places or lack of supply. What can we do to at least have something available to our people so we don't starve? Something though, as we speak to George Smith and Jamoy Nash, if he doesn't mind me saying, it has been one of those things where you hear somebody say it and then they say it again and other people pick it up, that it just echoes. Some people say resonates. He said it one time here, and then when he came on as a guest the second time he said it again. Now we know, I guess as an avid sort of, well, probably one of the best beekeepers and the best honey that you could ever have, Mr. Otto's, right? But he said it seems there are people for some strange reason believe, that we can't live without the dollar. We can eat it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We can't grow the food. How are we gonna eat what if we don't have it?
Well, he also has a saying that we're gonna be the only people that has $1 in our pocket and starve to death. But
you remember me saying that?
That's him.
Yep. But it's true. I mean, his sentiments are, we put more credence in the dollar bill than we do in the plant.
Well, I mean, Dwayne, if you look around, let's be fair, right? Just look around at what's happening in the world today. If you look, whoever's not on fire, on the next side is probably flooding happening. and then on the other side is a drought, right? And I'm sure that, you know, just a few months ago, the storm that was going towards Florida, let's just say, you know, if that storm had hit Florida, where most of our food, or I would say almost everything comes out of, I'm sure that we would be having a different conversation now. But at the same time, you know, all of those other countries that is affected by the drought or the floods, I'm saying, you know, if you follow it up, we are purchasing from those places, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, just like when you hear the president of America says America first, you know, it's not just their people we're talking about, their resources too, you know, and where does most of our food comes from,
right?
You know, so that's what we just got to keep in mind, that if anything happens, we're not going to be first on the list.
But I think sure too, that notion, you know, I see it from the U.S. president. Some of us have television through whatever subscription we have, or we access television channels from around the globe. I was watching the other day at a friend's house, a Canadian channel, and there was a commercial on, and it must have been for websites or domains or something. And I only watched it once, so I don't think I have it wrong. But they were advertising, you know, you in Canada, why is it your domain .ca as opposed to .com or whatever it is, right? And it was promoting investment into the national pride. So it's global. The people are looking out for their own people.
Of course.
And that's understandable, right? Yes, we do have a call online. Now, if this is lunch, I'll share it with you. If it's a phone call, we'll take it. Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
My friend, how are you this afternoon?
Okay, and good afternoon to George and the other young man there.
Yeah, Dwayne Nash over at the ministry.
Yes, a few years ago, I was reading in the newspaper that there was a shortage of coconuts in the world. And I was wondering if the government or even the private sector would be willing to join together on starting a coconut farm, and we're able to start exporting coconuts around the world. And then locally also, we're able to provide coconut oil and water and
But do you think, I mean, as I listen to you, maybe start with seeing what our local demand is and whether we can meet that, supplying the world or even exporting it to particular markets might be something that could be beneficial and lucrative to that person. But what about meeting the local needs? What do you think? We have the resources. Do you think we can find enough coconuts for water, oil, and the coconut milk and the like? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I thought we had lost you. Sorry about that.
I think it's something. I heard that Cayman used to have a coconut farm back in the day.
Yeah.
And one thing about coconut trees, they're able to withstand hurricanes because they're very strong. And when it comes to watering them, it's a lot less water needed in order to help them to survive. And also, the only problem we had when it came to problems with different types of wildlife were the iguanas were eating the buds. But now that we have gotten rid of pretty much the green iguana population, that's not going to be a problem. But I think it's something government should consider, and also encourage those people in the private sector who have land to do the same, because I mean, if Cayman is known around the world for exporting coconuts and coconut oil and coconut water, because like I said, I was told that back in the day, that is what Cayman did do. We had a coconut farm, and we provided a lot of coconut water and oil from that farm. So I don't know how much land government has in East End. I think it's 300 acres.
Yeah, 280 something acres.
Yeah, I hear a lot of that is hard rock. I'm not too sure how much land out of that 300 acres would be able to plant coconut trees and starting a coconut farm. But I think it's something government should be taken seriously, because I hear you all saying about people locally supporting one another with our local produce, which is very encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
But when we are known to be the bullseye in the Caribbean for hurricanes, I don't know how much government compensates people if they lose practically everything they have as local farmers because of a hurricane. But the only thing that would probably survive a hurricane would be coconut trees.
Well, certainly are resilient, man. Thanks very much for sharing, and I ask respectfully. I see the interest of time. So Saturday, if you want to respond to the comments the caller may have made, but Saturday is the second ship and the second sail.
Yes, I mean, just to talk about the first one, just to make the public aware, some animals went to West Bay, Savannah, North Side, East End, Bordentown, Georgetown. So basically, the animals is all over the island right now. East End were they purchased the most actually, so that's a plus there. And definitely we're talking about the second shipment. The second shipment is this Saturday at 7 a.m. at the Stacey Watler Pavilion, and then we basically leave there and go over to the holding facility. Basically, they would just have to look at which animal they're interested in. Each animal has a tag in its ear, and they go and show their interest. And that's about it. So anyone, it doesn't matter if you're a farmer or not. As we said earlier, you know, the government wants to push farming, so it is open to the public.
All right. Well, you know, it's as you said, a process, a very involved process, and hopefully, as we come in, especially with the cows already impregnated, being able to have a few opportunities to breed them, maybe increasing the stock. In a few years' time, we'll have more for those who want the local beef with a little bit of a different flavor, right?
One of the good things to doing is that they're not just impregnated; they have embryos, right? Yeah. So basically, in simple words, the mother is just a carrier for this baby. So when it happens, they're not going to be any family or anything. So at the end of the day, that is where we're heading towards developing the genetics of our local livestock.
Yeah. So undertaking, but one of those things again that we look at relative to sustainability and enhancing the farming community. Well, in the future, shortly after the sale, if you want to come back and give us an update, collect more information, focus on agriculture, give us a heads up, man, so Please we can have the discussion.
Sure. And before we go, Dwayne, can I just make a shout out? You know, I wanna thank the Minister, Ms. Juliana O'Connor Connolly, and the Honourable Premier and their government for their support, and the ministry, Mr. Demoy, the likes of Mr. Demoy and Mr. Welcome, and the newly appointed chief officer, Mrs. Cacho. I must commend them as to the push that they have in moving this forward. So I want to say on behalf of the farming community, thanks for their continuous support, and we look forward to seeing any of the public that is interested come out on Saturday.
All right, 7 o'clock at the Stacewater Pavilion.
Yes.
All right, thanks very much, Mr. Nash. Enjoy your afternoon, man. We can talk more about farming.
It was a pleasure, man.
Always.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
As Cayman's green iguana cull moves into its 55th week, the Department of Environment continues to report strong weekly totals. According to the DOE's website, cullers carried more than 20,000 green iguanas to the landfill for counting between November 4th and 9th. The cull is a nationwide effort to stamp out the invasive species. So far, more than 1,050,000 greenies have been culled since the program started 1 year ago. You can find the full breakdown at doe.ky. In news elsewhere, Hong Kong saw another day of travel chaos and protests across the city on Wednesday, a day after violent clashes and a prolonged standoff at a university campus. On Tuesday, hundreds of black-clad protesters, many of them students, attempted to block riot police from entering the prestigious and largely isolated Chinese University of Hong Kong. Under a barrage of constant tear gas, protesters hurled bricks and petrol bombs at police. And William Taylor, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, says that a cell phone conversation his aide overheard between another diplomat and U.S. President Donald Trump in July shows that the president cares more about investigations into Democrat Joe Biden than he does about Ukraine. In Democrats' first public impeachment hearing, Taylor said, "Yes, sir," when House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff asked him if the importance of that overheard conversation was that Trump cared more about the politically motivated probes he was requesting from Ukraine than he did about the East European ally itself. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And hopefully you're following along. Well, you followed along earlier with proceedings in the Legislative Assembly. And out and about, enjoying the festivities of the district days. I thank Ms. Susan for reminding me, because Monday holiday was welcome in a sense, but if you don't pay attention to your calendar, you'll be a day off. So the West Bay Heritage Day, the district day, is today down by the Bush Stadium. So it goes on until 10 p.m. Go enjoy, get some good food. Maybe it's your introduction to some cassava cake. Maybe it's the first time you've had it since Christmas last year. But if it isn't, maybe you've been fortunate like some of us and had some after the Sunday dinner. But if you're like the rest of us, boy, end of the day with cassava cake, good cassava cake is even better. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. On behalf of the Agriculture Ministry, together with the Agriculture Society and the Department of Agriculture, this Saturday morning at the Stacey Water Pavilion from 7 a.m., the second shipment of the cattle import goes on sale. So the avid farmer, the budding farmer, it may not be established, just have an interest, go out and check it out. And maybe in the meantime you still have some time to find out more about it. Now, what is on your mind? If you want to talk about it, certainly give us a call and share your thoughts with us as we have some open line here for the remainder of our program, 949-8037, or toll free with the kind compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. And then if you choose and you wish to WhatsApp, well, 925-3261. Don't forget, it may be more convenient for you. You might just be your preference. Record a voice note, send it across. Mrs. Susan will check it out, and she can air it just like you had called. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Doing number one, New Kingston.
How are you today, number one?
Well, I'm feeling better than I was for the last 2 weeks up in the hospital.
Oh, man, but I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better. I'm sorry to hear that you weren't, though.
You sure of that? Or you mean it the other way around?
No, man. I tell you, a friend of mine said one time he heard his pastor say, the Bible say, love thy neighbor, but he didn't say anything about liking him.
I know that.
So there are some people I like as well.
That's why we don't like each other, but we're still friends.
Wait a minute now. I thought I liked you, man, but maybe I changed my mind.
Yeah, you think you weren't going to have the answers? No, sir.
I hear you, sir.
Listen, I called you for two things. Just let me say one quick thing first.
Yes, sir.
For this postal department, when you pay your post box rate, you pay from the 1st of January down to the 31st of December. So stop reminding people about the own money. When the year is up, you pay for it. That's it.
Is that how it is? Because I thought it was like, for instance, if you made your payment on, February the 1st of this year, then it'll be up until February next year.
No, I don't think it goes. It's from December, from the 1st to the end of the year.
The calendar year? Okay, well, yeah. I was always under the impression that it, when you paid it, and it was for the year to the date the following year.
No, sir, because somebody pressing you with the wrong iron. What I want to tell them, to stop sending me all these reminders every year, even from now down December yet, and they keep sending reminders about people over postbox. Or to wait and getting the money when the time comes. We have to wait for you to open too.
Well, I hear you. I kind of like my reminder because sometimes even though I may have it, I still forget it. So.
Well, I know you can't say things, but I ain't afraid to tell them. I don't care who it is.
But maybe the practice on the bracket is a bit different. Maybe it's just in West Bay.
Well, who knows? Everything up here is different.
That's true, eh?
I want to say this.
Yes, sir.
I was in the hospital and I came out last week, Friday. So I wasn't hearing much news and things what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So when I turned on radio, came on, I always listen to the news there. For the 10 o'clock news tonight, I heard Alden talking about something about this some look like they're trying to force some sex thing down our throat. Then after he finished, this woman, she came on, gave some remark. You know how the news go to make you hear piece.
Mm-hmm.
She talking about if something not done here, what the UK want, she going to see it's done. We don't want none of UK dirty ways. Tell them keep it from the Queen right down to the governor here. Keep your dirty ways. God didn't make man for man, woman for woman. Otherwise, none of us will be here. And I hope the Queen of England listening, the Prime Minister, and the Governor, everyone. We don't want it here. If we don't want to keep it out there, if that old ape-looking Obama hadn't started this thing, all this wouldn't have went on. But I still believe he had a change. And as far as I care, I hope they hurry up and live up Trump glued on falls here. Because I still think that here falls.
It might be. He insists it's real.
America, England, anywhere else, if you don't want or the dirtiness, keep it there. Don't come forcing it down the throat of the people of Cayman Islands. 60 years ago, or they didn't know us because we never had nothing. Just because the place is getting built up a bit, or they won't come take it over again. 7 8, we don't drink tea. We drink coffee.
There you go.
All
Now-
right? I'm sorry if I disturbed your show.
No, man. And that was the only two things you wanted to share, or was there something else?
No, right now, that's the only thing I want to share, except for this telephone company, what they call it, feeling lazy and working seaman, if that's where we can get ready to keep on. It keep going, up until night. Before last night, I had to call the boss and tell her.
Huh.
And that's what I said flow stand for, feeling lazy and work.
Now, what about it now? Is it working better now? Is it working now?
No, sir, you're off. The radio just turned on full blast right now, just in case you come on so I can hear it. No.
Could it be that, well, let's have some fun. Could it be just doing the Talk Today show? The day off?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right.
It was off from, what it is, the Wednesday.
Wednesday.
We put off from Monday night.
Okay. Was it on last night?
Yes.
So you heard the port propaganda?
I didn't listen to the report propaganda, but
Okay.
not neither.
Okay, just checking.
I watch a producer with all the forces.
All right.
Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Radio Cayman is the only thing to go up here. It look like government, no disrespect to Radio Cayman. Government don't want us to come back here. And I don't care who like it. From Moses Kokona, Julian Akana, Alden McLaughlin, Austin Harris, White, anyone on them. Cayman Black need get back roots up here too and put the government channel back on the TV. Have the guts instead of wasting money on road, making them buy big car and thing, and spending thousands of dollars to have party for Tom, Dick, and Harry when they come here, and put the special toilet paper.
I love your passion, man. I tell you what, more of us need to have, but sometimes, how do we temper it?
Cayman Black needs more service. All we're doing getting kicked. You don't hear nothing coming up about Cayman Black. All you hear this or that. No disrespect to Grand Cayman, but I'm talking straight.
Mm-hmm.
Cayman Black need to get better service from the government. They got to make sure the TV stations are on, the radio stations are on, and tell all of them who come here with the old same-sex thoughts, keep it to themselves or carry it to the family or carry it back to the Queen. Tell her to keep it over there within her family. I have spoken, sir. No disrespect to you.
Thank you for sharing, sir. And I honestly pray you feel better, man. All the best to you, sir. All right. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Perhaps the caller inspired you. Perhaps your thought may echo in an opposite direction. Maybe you're just feeling mischievous. I mean, it's Wednesday. It's not too rainy outside. But why not you decide how you choose to share your thoughts? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. You can also send us your thoughts on our WhatsApp. You can record a voice note, or you can just type it up or text to speech, or however this technology works these days. 925-3261. Now, do we have a final break to take, Miss Susan? If we do, we will. And invite you to call and share your thoughts. Maybe you might want to be one of those who say, I wonder, is this happening because of that? Well, let's see. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct. So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
Can you imagine where Cayman runs off renewable energy? We can. Learn how you can join government and be an energy advocate.
Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure's Facebook page to learn more.
Support our port, support our tourism.
The new pier design achieves our government's mandate to minimize the impact on the environment. There will be no dredging in Hogstye Bay. This is a win for Cayman. Support our port, support our tourism.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us as we invite you to call and share your thoughts. 949-8037 or toll free with the kind compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Quick question to ask of you. Perhaps you can weigh in and share, help us to at least maybe get a better understanding. For the port question as it's posted and we have to answer when we go to the polls for referendum day. What my friend reminds me, he says, remember the 19th of December? Well, that's our referendum day. Do you find the question to be confusing? How you answer yes or no. Is it a sufficiently straightforward enough question? I've had only a small, almost a handful now, of individuals who say, well, they had to really look at the question to make sure that the answer they wanted to put, whether it was yes or whether it was no, that it was the question that reflected their view. They didn't think that it was sufficiently straightforward enough. So I'm wondering if 4 people are thinking that, are there more? Excuse me. Equally, one fellow shared, he says, well, if I was a member of the Legislative Assembly, if I was on a particular committee and a question was posed to me, I could vote yes or no or abstain. In this instance, you can't abstain. This is his perspective. Have you given that any thought? If I vote yes, it's yes. If I vote no, it's no. But if I stay away, thinking I'm abstaining, I'm voting yes. That seems to be the construction. Well, maybe you've, like me, and haven't given it any thought. Maybe you, like some of us, and have, like the other individual who said, well, yeah, that's not really how it is. What are your thoughts on it? Now, it may be too little too late, but is it a case that, as His Excellency the Governor has encouraged, maybe it'll be that thing that now propels us, serve as that ultimate motivator to make sure that we go out on referendum day to mark our ballots as we choose, yes or no. Do we go out there now so that we can say that we participated on referendum day and had our vote tallied, as opposed to staying away for whatever reason? Now, I believe our people have always had a relatively high voter turnout. The last election wasn't as high as previous elections, but as we participate in a referendum, hopefully we'll get as close to 100% as possible with a very convincing vote, so that the country knows where the country's view relative to moving forward now with the proposal as we have been given, so that there isn't any sort of confusion as to what the country is thinking at this time. 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. You call and share your thoughts with us, and certainly help us to understand that there are other issues facing us. It may be, for some, not as urgent, not as costly as the port issue. Others may say, but it's still as important, if not more so. It may not just be education, healthcare. It may not be infrastructure and the construction of roads and the like. It could be our safety and security. The discussion about the increased population and the proposal to further increase the population. What is that knock-on effect? Not just the social dynamic, not just the impact on the cost of living, the price of land, the competing dollars for the available resources, the potential, not just for businesses to make more money because there are potential and more customers, but as you go to the supermarkets, there are more people to encounter. There are more people, buying items from the shelves. So would that be an increased challenge if there was a natural disaster or something of a national emergency transpired? Are we able to manage with what we have? And as we increase our population, is there a plan to ensure that we can respond responsibly and appropriately and timely to ensure that basic food and necessities are available to the people? Some have shared that perhaps one of the biggest challenges to our marine environment is the overfishing that has come about because of the increased population. Whether you say, well, it's because it's costly to live here, the incomes that people earn, the money that we pay, some of the people are so paltry that they have to go to the sea and take the fish that perhaps some of us wouldn't take because it's not fish that we would traditionally eat, or it's not of the size that we would eat. But think of the person who doesn't have sufficient money, can't afford to buy what is there, is hungry, and the food is in the sea, whether it's the wilks or the counts, whether it's in season or out, or whether it's fish or other seafood. And it may not be the type of food that you knew as a people that we ate. Doesn't mean that others, either out of necessity or out of custom, don't consider it edible and won't eat it. Now, can we maybe look closely at that to see how that would affect future generations, and not just 50 and 100 years down the road, but what about 3 and 5 years from now? The fellow gave as an example. He said, you have a nice little grove of fruit trees and the like, and you were to take and in a good bountiful season chop them all down to make sure you got every last bit of fruit there was. Well, the next season obviously there won't be any fruit left because there are no trees. Is that, in his view, what we have been doing in many instances, not just with the pace of development, but with the seemingly practice of not planning and making provision for future generations, or even literally tomorrow. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Now, the caller prior asked the question relative to the whole issue of the Court of Appeals ruling and the case before it. And a growing number of people have said, well, as they listen to the media, the headlines, they read some of the things, print or published or otherwise, presented to the populace, that it seems confusing. Is that deliberate to mislead people? Is it that the inability of the people to report is lacking, or is it just a hidden agenda somewhere? Now, if we look at what the Court of Appeal has said, and if we go back to the discussions relative to the Constitution, now I know that some would have recognized recent comments coming through the UK. The Honourable Premier, I believe, was expected to give some explanations relative to the proposed constitutional changes that, if my information is correct, that the UK has agreed to and is willing to accept. then we may see other changes in other areas as well. But relative to the whole issue in the Cayman context, the constitutional discussions were that the constitution that was approved would reflect that the courts can't force the Legislative Assembly to change the law. It can say as a court, well, we don't like this, so you should go and change this. But if the Legislative Assembly, as the elected, body responsible for making and passing our laws, they decide, well, we don't want to make this change, whatever that is, then the change doesn't take effect. And the UK can, of course, as the overseer, do directly implement laws, as it were. But unlike the US, for instance, where the courts can strike down laws and effectively make the law, our jurisdiction is a bit different. To what extent, has the reporting, as a few have shared, been confusing? And is that deliberate, or just that some of those who report are unaware of what our Constitution, our laws, and our customs reflect? 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Again, the district days are here. West Bay celebrated today. I know that Little Cayman is on for the weekend, as it were. Friday, we have Bordentown. What's happening tomorrow? Because Thursday is one of those days where we kind of, it says Thursday. We refer to Friday as the weekend and Wednesdays as the hump day. But Thursday sometimes doesn't really get much of a play. I think tomorrow we should make it a national holiday, Miss Susan. Why don't we do that? Sort of like the preview to, the referendum day. Anyway, if you can't enjoy what you do, I tell you one thing, man. Someone else will for you. Please, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Find a way that you can make a meaningful contribution to our society. If you are inclined to seek publicity for what you do, hey, that's you. But there are many, thankfully, who do what they do because they can and they want, and there's no fanfare. Doesn't mean one is right and the other isn't. No, doesn't mean one is campaigning for some office, politically or otherwise, but just means that if we can find a way to make society healthier and safer, recognizing that there are things that are happening in our society that really find it difficult sometimes for us to continue to let it unfold without asking if there's a cause and effect, without finding a way to address whether it's increasing gun violence in our communities, the seemingly willingness of our people to disobey our traffic laws, the discourtesy that we display to each other, the growing contempt and disrespect that we seem to have. No, that can't be the society we want. 949-8037 or toll free 1-800-534-8255. Certainly invite you to share your thoughts with us, and always grateful to Miss Susan. She keeps it in check. Is that it for today, Miss Susan? That is it for today. There's a song, that will certainly I always enjoy when Susan plays the music for the remaining half hour, and then of course the Super Jam. Well, someone said Scorpion Winds of Change. I don't know. It's a good song. She played it yesterday. I thought it was good. Boy, I tell you, she knows her music. Until tomorrow, my good friends. Be blessed.